Previously on Walrus Reviews.
Which just makes it suck even more as to why it was cancelled.
What do you mean?
Oh, you didn't know?
Do I want to know?
Well, it's actually pretty simple. By 1982, ABC had to cut one show out from their Saturday morning lineup, and they chose to give Thundar the axe over this.
Oh, now the gang got zapped into that time machine, and they're like traveling through time. My. They do not think where that machine is going, but they sure hope to get back to 1957 Milwaukee. Can you dig it? Yeah!
Reviewer law number 495 states that mentioning a show in a review means you have to review that show as well. How can you do this to me, Rowdy? I thought we were friends. Why did you do this to me? Well, no use crying about it now, and delaying it only prolongs the pain. That, and he mentioned other piles of crap that I have to get to now. So let's get this started. Anywho, Fonzie and the Happy Days gang, everyone. See you after the title card. So let's start this proper with the usual technical segment. Fonzie and the Happy Days gang originally broadcast during the Saturday morning schedule on ABC from November 8th, 1980 until November 28th, 1981. And as I've stated many times on this show, during the 70s, clear up until the mid-80s when Ronald Reagan, of all people, saved Western animation by tearing down the walls between cartoons and toy marketing, the writers metaphorically had their legs chopped off by the parents' rights groups who had way too much power over children's programming, so that coming up with new stuff that would be saccharine and conflict-free enough for them was really hard and only got harder as time went on. So a common thing to do was to give a popular live-action show an animated spin-off. And no one was more antiquated with spin-offs than Happy Days, who was basically the mitochondrial Eve of late 70s, early 80s TV. It had 5 spin-offs, and 2 of those got their own animated spin-offs. Anywho, after Hanna-Barbera failed to get the license to make an animated version of Doctor Who, instead of, coming up with their own original characters, decided to plop the Happy Days gang in time travel shenanigans, with a complete ditz from the future named Cupcake, and give Fonzie a dog named Mr. Cool, voiced by Frank Welker. And well, I'll let the annoying Wolfman narrator explain this show from there.
Oh, now the gang got zapped into that time machine, and they're like traveling through time. My. They do not think where that machine is going, but they sure hope to get back to 1957 Milwaukee. Can you dig it? Yeah!
So, let's put it out there for the slow kids in the back. A time-traveling ditz from the future named Cupcake has engine trouble, and she gets help from Fonzie, Richie, and Ralph Mouth from Happy Days to get it started again because people from the 50s would totally know how to fix a knockoff Tartarus. But then shit hits the fan, and they end up on a time travel version of Quantum Leap, where they hope the next random time hop will get them home. There was potential here, like maybe they would have to go through some moral dilemmas, like that one episode of the original Star Trek where they go back in time and McCoy saves a woman's life, only to have to go back again and stop himself because her living causes the Nazis to win World War II. Oh, wait. Pre-regulation tear-down 80s cartoon. We can't have any kind of real conflict. We're just going to lather, rinse, repeat plots every cartoon used back then. How did this get a season 2 again? Anywho, like most lazy piles of crap from back then, they have a formula. Fonzie and the gang are in the time machine trying to get back to 1957, only for unfunny shenanigans to happen and the machine breaks. They end up somewhere in the space-time continuum other than Milwaukee in 1957, Ralph Mouth or Mr. Cool screwing around, or a woman getting the hots for the Fonz, ends up getting them into a pickle. Then, after some padding, and Mr. Cool the dog trying and failing to copy Fonzie and basically being this show's Scrappy. I know that it was the animation dark age and voice acting pays jack squat, but did Frank Welker have to agree to voice every Scrappy that Hanna-Barbera threw at him during the 70s. The man is way too talented for that. Anywho, Cupcake screws things up even more by having her Mork from Mork and Mindy-esque magic powers do the exact opposite of what she intends them to do. This is usually used to further pad the runtime, only for them to solve the problem, eventually get back to the time machine, and leave. Lather, rinse, repeat. Okay, some positives. The character designer actually did a pretty good job capturing the likenesses of Fonzie, Richie, and Ralph. And in fact, they ponied up the extra dough to get Ron Howard, Harry Winkler, and Don Most to reprise their roles. If you're waiting for me to play that one Donnie Most rising from the mist joke from Family Guy, keep waiting. I'm sure it'll show up if you keep waiting for it. Anywho, now that the bulk is out of the way and Misery loves company, let's rapid fire some mini reviews of several episodes. Well, already used clips from it, might as well start with episode 1, King for a Day. We open with that magic formula with the time machine being on the fritz. Only for Fonzie to use his magic hit things and they start working again powers to fix the thing, only for Mr. Cool to imitate his master and break it again. They end up in historically inaccurate prehistoric dino times. Everything about how non-avian dinosaurs are depicted is wrong. I digress, but we don't have the time. The dinosaurs and man never lived together, and Neanderthals were not stupid like they're depicted here. We did not evolve from them like they imply. We are sister species that both evolved from Homo erectus. And in fact, we interbred with them. We know this because we've cracked their genome, and there are people today who have Neanderthal in them. Anywho, after some time wasting with the Brontosaurus, who, for those not to know, is officially a dinosaur again, the group gets separated, with Richie and Ralph getting caught by Neanderthals, and Ralph ending up being king, and Richie in a cage, with the Fonz, Cupcake, and the Scrappy dinking around with a cave woman after she gets the hots for the Fonz. After a ton of padding, they find Richie and Ralph. Only for the king thing to be a thing that only lasts for a day, and the king gets sacrificed to a volcano. After that, they dink around with a T-Rex, then manage to save Ralph, and have the cave woman help keep the mob off of them, and then Fonzie kisses her, making her pass out, so they don't have to take her with them and leave. Well, now on to our next episode, The Vampire Strikes Back. We open up on our group getting excited about finally getting home, only for a vampire, yes, a vampire, to appear out of nowhere and only Mr. Cool sees him. He breaks the time machine, and after Mr. Cool fails to let them know about the vampire by doing some Courage the Cowardly Dog-esque shape-shifting, they end up in Transylvania during the Victorian era. Then, after Cupcake uses her Mork powers to move time forward a bit to nightfall because reasons, the time machine bamps out for no reason, and the vampire, whom I will just call Dracula, they call him something different, but it's freaking Dracula, just look at him. Anywho, Dracula shows up and offers to let them stay at his castle, and they accept because they are uncharacteristically stupid. Believe me, I know, I've watched a lot of Happy Days in my life. Anywho, Cupcake, the Fonz, and Mr. Cool end up taking him up on his offer, and the other two end up trying to get a room in town. Then, after Richie and Ralph find out from the townsfolk that Totally Not Dracula is in fact a vampire, we cut the others going through spoopy yet not scary gags because, as I said at the top of the review, nothing other than milquetoast bull can actually happen in this. Anywho, after Drac's assistant Igor, because of course his name is Igor, takes them to the rooms, and we cut to Richie and Ralph going through unfunny shenanigans to get into the castle to save them. They get chased through the graveyard that the castle is at the center of by an obviously rabid wolf, because of course the castle is in the center of a graveyard and is guarded by a rabid wolf. Then the wolf accidentally opens a trap door that sends the idiot duo down a slide and ends up going down a few seconds after them. We cut back to the others, with Dracula having the hots for Cupcake. He tries to force her into it by hypnotizing her, because vampires can do that, and Fonzie gets her out of it. They dick around to pad the runtime. Ralph and Richie get caught by Igor, and Ralph gets turned into a werewolf. They reunite with Fonzie and Cupcake. They do a Scooby-Doo chase sequence. They eventually undo the werewolf stuff and then use the same machine to turn Igor into a werewolf, because why the hell not? Then they use sunlight to kill Dracula. Then the time machine shows up out of nowhere and they leave once again. How did this get a season 2? This was only episode 7 of season 1 and they already needed to pull out something as stupid and contrived as suddenly unexplained vampire to get the plot going. Then needed to crip from Scooby-Doo harder than other shows that were literally designed from the ground up to be Scooby-Doo clones, combine the plots of what would be 2 episodes in any other show, and everything was padded to hell and back. As you might have already surmised, this series was a slog to get through. I mean, if you were watching one episode every week instead of marathoning it like I did, then I could see this being harmless babysit your kids while you sleep in on Saturday's low-tier bull. But there is a reason no one bothered to remember this until internet reviewers such as myself drudged it up. And there is a reason you can watch it for free here on YouTube. It's so horrible the copyright holders of the Happy Days IP doesn't want to acknowledge it. Avoid at all costs. Anywho, I'm the Walrus Clown. Don't forget to like, subscribe, etc., etc. See you next time, and stay fresh, cheese bags. Boo!